Cyberpunk Uncensored.
Hey, what's up everybody? This video is all about how your character can make money in Cyberpunk Red. So let's get right into it. The first way, no surprise here, getting a job. Now, let me clarify the word job. That's pretty much their main mission or campaign that they're running. So anytime that your edgerunners or your team or you as a character gets a main gig or job or mission or campaign to do, that's considered your main job. And that's your main source of income. That's where you're going to make your most money. And in Cyberpunk Red, they break it down into 3 categories. Let's go over that. So the first one is an easy job type. Obviously, just as described, it's easy. There's not going to be a lot of armed resistance or anything like that. And on average, you're going to make about 500 euro bucks. The next one up is your typical job. That's where you might definitely meet some armed resistance. There might be like a changing of guards every so many hours or whatever, and they describe it. That you can make on an average about 1,000 euro bucks. And the last category that they put is dangerous jobs. Now that's the most extreme, like where you're having to raid a military base or something crazy, like a real highly secure corporation or something maybe. That type of job where you have a risk of actually dying and maybe not succeeding at that job. So anything that's really extreme or considered a dangerous job, you're going to make on average about 2,000 euro bucks. And these are just guidelines that they put for Cyberpunk Red. Obviously, this is like, the best case scenario, but sometimes you take dangerous jobs for little money or because you have to, because you owe someone a favor or something along those lines. So keep in mind, this is just kind of suggestions about how much you should make based on those categories if doing a job. Now, you know that these jobs are kind of big missions. They're usually your campaign. In between that, there's another way to make money, and I think this is really cool. It's something that Cyberpunk Red did that I think is like so appreciated that they added this to how you run Cyberpunk, and that's in between campaigns. If you have about a week's time, you need 7 days. And that's 7 days of free time, like where you're not having to heal, because most of the time in between big campaigns and missions, you've got to spend time healing or, repairing armor or, running tasks, things like that you have to take care of. As long as you have a good 7 days downtime, which will happen because sometimes other people in your party will be wounded and they need that time off. They need that week to heal, and maybe you don't need to heal, so you have a week. In which case, if you do, you can do your hustle, they call it. And I think that's really cool. So, that you have your main job where you make your main source of income, and then you have your hustle. So, like I said, you need at least 7 days downtime. So usually it's in between those big jobs or missions or campaigns, whatever you want to call them. So in between those big jobs, you have that week time and you're not having to heal. You can do your hustle. And the way that you do a hustle is you roll a 1d6, and then it's based on your role, and then it's based on your role ability rank. So as you can see here, and I'll just briefly go over these charts because obviously, you can look in the Cyberpunk Red book and you can see the exact details, but this is how you do it. You have that week time. Let's say you're a rocker boy. You roll your 1d6. That tells you what type of job you did, whether you're playing like a little gig or a big gig, an opening act or a special appearance or whatever. And then you look over to the 3 different categories. If your role ability rank is between 1 and 4, you look at that category and you made however much it tells you, 200 bucks for a small gig, or 300 for opening up for a big name or something. If your role ability is 5 to 7, you look in that category. If your role ability is 8 to 10, you look in the next category. You can make up to a max of like 800 euro bucks over the course of that week, which normally would just be some downtime. So that's really cool. And then as a solo, same thing. You roll 1d6. You see, did you have to do some bodyguard work for a low-end client or a high-end client, or some basic enforcement work or whatever. And then again, you look at your role ability rank, and that tells you what category of pay you got for that job. Same with Netrunner. Did you have to crack a system, or did you create a system? There's all kinds of Netrunner hustles there. And again, you roll 1d6, you see what kind of hustle you pulled off during that week, and then you look at your rollability rank and see where that falls to see how much money you made. And every role has their own chart. Just like these, there's the tech hustle, where maybe you had to rebuild something, or someone needed a modification to something, and you look at your rollability rank, 1 to 4, or 5 to 7, or 8 to 10. That tells you what category of pay you got. Med tech hustle, same thing. There's all kinds of jobs, whether you made some crazy designer drug for someone, or maybe you just helped someone heal, and you look at your rollability rank. So it's like that. Media, same thing. Maybe you wrote a big topic that got published, or you had a good story that week, or maybe no stories. That's the other cool thing, is on each one of these charts, there is a chance when you roll that 1d6 that you landed on something like a job went bad. You weren't able to fix what you needed to fix, or no good stories that week, in which case you made €0 if you're rank 1 to 4, or you at least pulled off a little bit of money if you're a higher rank. So I think that's pretty cool too. And then obviously there's the rest of the roles here. So Nomad has a lot of cool sort of transporting hustles, which I think is really cool. Considering that's what nomads are known for, it's fun. But whether they're transporting a big caravan, or small, or an item, delivering an item, and then again you look at your rollability rank to see how much you got paid. Lawman, did you break a big case or a small case, things like that. Exec is did one of your plans go through well, or a deal that you had on the table for your corporation, or maybe a deal went south and you made €0 if you're rank 1 to 4. So again, you're rolling 1d6 to see what kind of hustle, and then you're looking at your rollability rank to see how much you made on that hustle. And fixer, did you hook up a media with a cool lead for a story, or did you hook up a solo or a gang with a cool gig and make a certain percentage fee off of it? It's stuff like that. So each chart is basically very role centric. So that's why when you figure out the hustle that you're able to pull off in a week, you got to go to your role chart, and they're all there. You just find your role, look at that chart, roll a 1d6, see what type of hustle you were able to pull off that week, and then look at your rank of your rollability rank, if it's 1 to 4, or 5 to 7, or 8 to 10, and that tells you how much money you made. Now, again, let me reiterate the fact that you might be unlucky. You might land on a number or something where maybe you didn't even make any money, or very little. But don't worry, this is just your side hustle. It's not really considered your main gig for your character, your edge runner. Your main gig is that job, that number one source of income, where you can make like 500 to 2,000 euro bucks, and those are your main missions and jobs. This is just side hustle. And let me add, there is a third way that you can make money, but it's called, buying and selling, obviously. And I think it's probably more realistic to say it's less buying and selling, like trying to buy low, sell high, unless you're working the market as an exec or something. But it's probably more like, what you looted off enemies you killed and then went and sold, or what you scavenged for and then sold, probably more like that. But regardless, that third way, it requires you knowing a high-level fixer, or getting invited to one of their black markets or midnight markets. But that whole subject, that's something I'm going to get into when I do in the video about night markets. So make sure you check out the night market video, and I'll break down exactly how that works. But if you don't have access to a fixer at night market, you can pretty much only buy or sell items up to premium. And let me at least give you a little crash course on that. All items in Cyberpunk Red, whether weapons or armor or just items you buy or whatever, they're all listed in categories from like cheap to everyday to costly to premium to luxury, super luxury, whatever. There's a bunch of categories, and without a fixer and his night market to really hustle good deals, you pretty much are limited up to premium, which is like the lower end items or average normal items, And even then, some shops might not have certain things in stock. That's a GM discretion, but it is the time of Red. Things are hard to come by, and sometimes you got to source things, even the lower level things, and that can always be fun. But regardless, I don't want to get too much into that. Check out the night market video, and you'll learn more about the way night markets work, and that other way to kind of make money, which is selling those items and stuff that you're able to kind of get or scavenge for, or whatever, however you want to word it. But But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a like, give it a share. Please subscribe to the channel and check out all the other crash courses that I'm posting for Cyberpunk Red. Thanks so much. Take care.